If you've ever wanted to be able to take photos that you've taken from a trip or just from where you live and turn them into watercolor paintings, then you are in the right place. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah, and I am on a mission to figure out how to take photos that I just have on my phone and turn them into watercolor paintings. So, this location is on the Olympic Peninsula. It's called Scenic Beach, and it is one of my favorite places to visit. Here are my reference photos that I'm going to be using. And with each of them, I'm going to observe them and make artistic and editorial decisions and showcase different techniques on how to turn these photos into paintings. So let's get started. Here's my reference photo. The fun part about this photo and the magic in it is the foreground silhouetted trees and foliage that frames the landscape and gives it a lot of depth. And this was fun to paint and didn't take super long. So this would be a good one, a fun one to try out. My standard go-to dimensions are using 5x7 paper. I pretty much always use Arches 140-pound cold press for basically everything. And for this painting, I'm using a big mop brush and a number 8 round and a number 2 round for finer detail. I'm getting most of my paper wet. I'm going to be doing a sky and kind of a simple water below. I'm not worried about the mountain in the background because it's going to be darker than the sky and the water. So if I go over it, it really doesn't matter. I've realized as I've been making these YouTube videos that I basically just use the same 5 colors over and over. So we have ultramarine blue going down. I'm kind of leaving this middle section of the water lighter to suggest like more sun is hitting it. So I'm going to lay that down. Again, it's kind of like going up into the mountain a little bit, and I'm not concerned because I'm going to be going over it with dark. The nice thing about this painting is anytime I don't like something, I can just cover it up with a tree or foliage later. I'm going up to the wet sky and I'm adding in this peach color. I'm going to list all of my paints and stuff down below, but this Naples reddish yellow. And then I don't want my sky to be the exact same color as my water. So I'm adding in a little bit of Prussian blue to my ultramarine blue, just so that it's kind of different. And I'm trying to be careful with my brush strokes so that I'm not mixing the peach color with the blue too much and kind of try not to fuss with the sky too much. And now that that sky is dry, it dried pretty light, and it's just going to be that nice contrast with the super dark silhouetted trees. I'm mixing up some mountain color. I stuck some Prussian blue in there, some indigo. Once again, just same 5 colors over and over. I'm using my big mop brush. I'm not putting in mountain detail in here. It's really going to be in the background. But this is just such a beautiful view when you go to Scenic Beach. You like park and then you walk up, and this is your first view through the trees of seeing, and you're kind of above the beach as well, probably 15 feet, and it's so pretty. If you haven't gone, you should go. It's like my favorite place to camp. Okay. I realized that that's the color I want it to be when it's dry. So I actually need to go in and make it darker. So I added more of that indigo. And then I got rid of my little peak. Whoopsie. Okay, I need to add that back in. That's fine. And it's darker than I want it to be, which is good because it's going to dry quite a bit lighter. While I let that mountain dry, I'm going to go in with some pure indigo in my mop brush and do kind of a wiggly little foreground. Now I'm switching to my number 2 round, and I'm using dry brush to give like really far off distant ripples of my water. Again, I'm leaving the middle section a little less rippled to suggest like more direct sun. I'm going back and forth. My brush is pretty much parallel to the paper, and I'm not using a ton of liquid on my brush. I use dry brush in pretty much all of my tutorials, so this is one that's really great to play around with and get comfortable with. I'm going to do this dry brushing in a couple of layers until I'm satisfied with it. I every time I look at a picture like this or a scene like this, I just want to see an eagle there. People who know me know that I'm obsessed with bald eagles. I don't know what it was. I think I fell into the stereotype of turning 30 and then immediately became a bird lady. So, yeah, everywhere I go, I want to see bald eagles. I really want, you know how like you see those videos on Instagram of like 100, 200 bald eagles in these pine trees, and like Lord Huron is playing in the background and stuff. Like that's what I want. So if you live in Washington and you know where I can go to find that, let me know. I fear that the answer is Alaska. Not that I don't want to go to Alaska. I do want to go to Alaska, but I also want to just take a day trip and see like a crap ton of eagles. Let's make it happen. All right, I'm satisfied with that water. And the nice thing is, again, any area that I don't like the ripples, I can just cover up with a tree. All right, now I have my number 2 round and I'm squiggling in some bushes and other like foliage and stuff. I'm also wiggling my camera back and forth. Sorry about that. I decided to switch to my number 8 and darker. I'm kind of flicking the tip of my brush. Are they grasses? Are they bushes? Are they little plant guys? Who knows? And this was a super fun part, adding in the tree silhouettes. I realized that I moved my paper up so that you can't actually see the top anymore. My bad. I'm new to YouTube. I'm also a teacher, and when I started teaching 13 years ago, my first couple of years, I just gave myself a pass. Anytime I made a mistake or forgot something, I was just allowed to shrug my shoulders and say like, I'm new, sorry. So you mess up with a painting, I'm new. I moved my paper up so you can't see the top, whoopsie, I'm new. That's a good thing to practice for me because I'm a perfectionist and it's really hard for me to not be perfect at something right away. So just learn a new hobby. That's a great way to not be perfect at something right away. Get more comfortable with it the more you do it. I love new hobbies. Okay, stop yapping. What are we doing? I'm using pure indigo to make these trunks. I'm going to be adding in the branches and foliage later. And then some of them I'm having them go straight off the page at the bottom, and some of them, like this one here, I'm having it stop, and then I'll add in some little roots and have it kind of tie into the ground a little bit more. And I think it ends up looking really cute. Trees are still ones that I can just always keep learning about how to do trees. I see people paint and draw trees that are so realistic and beautiful. And I remember hearing that Da Vinci had a kind of rule of thumb or like rule of trees where he said at any point in a tree, the combined width of all of the branches is going to match the width of the trunk. So you can see me trying to make sure that the trunk is wide enough so that the two branching off trunks match the width of the lower trunk. I don't know if that makes sense. Look up Leonardo da Vinci's rule of trees, and tree scientists, I don't know if that's actually true with biology or if this is just a nice rule of thumb with art and drawing and making trees, but that's what I think about. Like if you collapse all of the branches in and stuff, it should all be like one big cylinder of trunk. Maybe that makes sense. Hopefully it does. We have this last guy coming down, and I'm kind of feathering out the bottoms of these trees and to suggest those roots, and then I'm going to do this wash down below to have it all kind of like rooted to the ground and tie together. I'm going in with just damp brush and bringing down that color so that it's not as dark as the trees, but it kind of gives like shadow, dirt, earth. Yeah. And what I love about doing this is I feel like the painting gets framed, and then it also just throws that landscape way back and lends some really cool perspective and depth. My last step is to add in foliage and branches, and I'm using kind of this squiggly motion with the tip of my brush to drag down and create some branches and leaves. And the branches help guide me for where I want my leaves to go. And then I just squiggle back and forth. Is it a twig? Is it a leaf? Who knows? It's a cute little foliage guy. If there are any parts of your sky that you are unhappy with, you can just decide that there's a branch there and cover it up. It's nice to take a pause in between when you're doing this and stand up and get some distance from it and kind of squint your eyes and look at it all together as a composition and decide where you want more things to be. And then decide when you're done. Play around with where you want to put foliage and branches and stuff. I'm having mine go over the mountain, go onto the water, even in between those two trunks. Yeah, she's cute. So this is now finished. Unfortunately, I can't do the oh so satisfying tape peel because this is a series and I have 2 more paintings to go. So this was my silhouetted trees in the foreground view. The next one I'm doing, I'm going to focus on rippling waves, and I'm really happy with how that one turns out. So stay tuned for my next installment in this series. Bye.